Good evening, everybody. This is Kathy L. Murphy, the CEO of the International Pulpwood Queens and Timber Guys Book Club Reading Nation. And I am here tonight for our every Saturday night pre-show of our book and film club with my co-host, Robert Gwaltney from Atlanta, Georgia. And we've got some wonderful authors here. We've got T.K. Thorne from Birmingham, Alabama. We've got Lovelace Cook, who's got a brand new podcast, Bollywood and Books. And we've got Ruthie Landis all the way from Chicago. I hope more will be popping in. But tonight we're here because Robert Gwaltney and I love this film called Best in Show. We're big Christopher Guest fans. So I'm going to let you kind of say a few words, Robert, as I open us up about getting us prepared for a movie that we're going to suggest that you watch as soon as this show is over. So how many of you seen it? Oh, good. Okay, 2 have not. Perfect. Go ahead, Robert. Tell them a little bit.
It's another wonderful Christopher Guest, Eugene Levy comedy, and it's a mockumentary, and it came out in 2000. And it really, the setup is that there are 5 entrants who are going to a very prestigious dog show. So it follows these 5 entrants along with their 5 prized prestigious pets, purebreds, on this crazy journey. And so, of course, I sort of refer to them as the Christopher Guest players. It's this cast of actors that follow him from movie to movie, and that are fantastic. Eugene Levy, there's Catherine O'Hara, Parker Posey, who I love, Michael Hitchcock, and of course, Fred Willard, who almost steals the show as the commentator there at the dog show. It's hysterical. And of course, Jennifer Coolidge, who I love.
Oh, yeah. Because Jennifer Coolidge, when I first discovered her was in the movie with Reese Witherspoon. What was it?
Legally Blonde.
Oh my gosh, she was the manicurist.
She was.
She stole the show in that. And I actually was at a party with her in New Orleans, an author party, and I didn't even hardly recognize her because she doesn't really dress like that or hold those, she does those lips. I have skinny lips, it doesn't work, but she would hold those lips like they'd had implants. This film is comic genius, and it followed the movie we watched last week, which was Waiting for Guffman. And when I pulled this up, it's on, you guys can watch it on YouTube, or I pulled it up on Amazon. It's like $2.99 on Amazon Prime. But this was the copy that read for Best in Show. It says, the tension is palpable. The excitement is mounting. And the scent of competition in the air. They had me there for a minute. I was afraid they were going to say something else. And it says, of all the hundreds of contestants from America who take part in the Mayflower Dog Show. And I don't know if you've ever watched these, usually they're British, but I am always, the thing that strikes me the most is not the pets, they're beautiful. It's the owners and how they walk the dogs on the, as they're presenting them. It is absolutely the best thing if you were ever in a downward spiral of depression, pull up a Christopher Guest film, and I guarantee you after it's over, you're going to be feeling a whole heck of a lot better. So, yes, they have, I was trying to figure out, John Michael Higgins, is that Parker Posey's husband?
No. So John Michael Higgins is the wonderful actor who plays Stefan Vanderhoof. He's the other half of the gay couple.
Oh.
And they have the Shih Tzu, Miss Agnes.
It's so much fun. So Ruthie, you have seen this. What is your favorite moment, without giving, the ending away, but what is your favorite moment that made you laugh the hardest in the film? Can you remember one in particular?
I just laughed throughout the whole film. I have to agree with you that you know, all the behind the scenes and how they're like a beauty pageant, you know, and how they're talking about each other. And then of course, when they just turn it on, you know, when they have to walk the dog, and you wonder who's really up for this, the dog or the person. And, you know, being in show business and stuff, and I know Michael Higgins, and my dad was in a lot of plays with him on Broadway, and so anyway, I just, the way that they play everything so straight but also so heightened at the same time just makes me laugh throughout the whole thing. There really isn't one moment. I'm sorry.
Well, there's so many moments. In fact, right before I was ready early, and so I was sharing some clips from some of them. The wonderful scene with Parker Posey and her husband as how they met at the Starbucks. Oh God! And I didn't share the one about that has Christopher Guest talking about the different kinds of nuts. That you just have to experience that.
That's one of my favorite parts. It's hysterical.
You know, I think the scene that probably I loved the best was the squeaky toy for the
Busy
crazy,
bee.
and trying to find a replacement. So you guys, I know you don't know what I'm talking about, but it is absolutely the funniest thing ever. But Christopher Guest is one of these, he's genius. I mean, they started out in this, I guess, second city comedy type things, and
In Chicago, yeah.
yeah, in Chicago. And you know, he's married, if you guys don't know this, to Jamie Lee Curtis, and they're as different as night and day as far as personality wise. Christopher Guest, I've been watching a lot of interviews about him. He's very acerbic, and you don't know, he's hard to interview because you don't know if he's messing with you or if he's playing it straight, you know. I think he's on all the time. But and then Jamie Lee Curtis is just the um just, you know, I think everybody that meets her feels like they've met their next best friend. I actually got to meet her mother once at Book Expo, and lovely Janet Lee, lovely person. But when we go to the movies, I don't know about you guys. I am the biggest movie buff like Robert. I try to find, you know, a movie, first of all, it's going to be entertaining, but if you can find one that you can watch no matter how many times, over and over and over, and each time you see new little nuances, or you catch a phrase you maybe didn't see before, and the way they play off each other. Ruthie, you're an actor. You know, the way they play off each other is absolutely seamless. You would swear these were real people. And I wonder how much research they did on watching these things. You know, I always remember they always have a beautiful dog with a heavy set. They always have a heavy set woman in a very frumpy suit, you know, with low heels, and she can hardly keep up with the dog. And it's like, you know, what is that old saying about the pigs in the gunny sack? They're fighting each other as she's walking around as fast as she can. The rear end just going like, I always, when I was a kid, I would laugh and laugh and laugh at these dog shows because I thought they were funny then. They're funny now, but they are dead. I do know people that do this for a living, and they take it very, very serious. And I have many friends that have pets that are. I have a friend that has a cat that is cut like a lion. It's got fur around his head. It still has all of his fur, but they shaved all of his body except for his tail. And I walked into her house and I said, what happened to your cat? Because she goes, that's the latest cut. And I go, I guess it looks like a lion, but the cat didn't look like he was real pleased about it.
But don't you see how sometimes too, in this too, how the pet owner looks like the pet? You know, like the French bulldog people have a face that looks like a French
No,
bulldog.
I'm going to tell this on my best friend, but Stephanie Chance has 2 standard black poodles, and her and those dogs have the same hairdo. They both have top knots. They have top. I go, do you do that on purpose? You guys, she goes, I never really thought about it. But I mean, they stand together and I go, oh my gosh, you guys have the same exact hairstyle, long on the side and this top knot up on top that she does. And her dogs are just, they love me. I just love to go to her house and hang out with her dogs. But
where does she live?
she lives just down the road from me. I was hoping she'd be here tonight, but she's actually doing a book signing at the Gladewater Museum. They have a big museum fundraiser every year and they're having it. And so she said, oh gosh, I just want to go home from working all day. And I'm running to this book signing. And I go, oh, I wanted you on with your poodles because I wanted to show her head with dogs.
I have to confess that I've had poodles, and today my hair is a really bad hair day, but it's usually curly. And I had once a Wheaton Terrier. She looked exactly like me. I don't have a daughter. She was my daughter. She had the curly red hair. And if I put a black nose on, I would look just like her.
Wow. Well, TK just got 2 new rescue horses. I don't think there's any resemblance.
Well, thank you. I hope not.
I'd love to look like a horse. I think they're beautiful, but you don't look anything like your horses. But they're brand new. You could actually grow in. I mean, if I see a braid, if you see you braid their mane and your braid's going down, or, we start seeing ponytails or something. But I have 3 cats and they are all skinny. So obviously I don't look anything like my pets. And they go, you got the skinniest cats. And I go, it doesn't make any sense to me because I feed them all day long. I mean, they're constantly running up to me and they just look at me and then they start running and they look back. So I know it's time to go to the dish again and open another can of.
Kathy, you know what? I may not look like my horse, but I have always wanted a tail. Yes.
Wow.
Think about it. Not just a horse tail, but more like a cat tail, or something that I can control, that I could drape over my shoulder, or do things with. I think it'd be a great fashion accessory.
I thought I had heard it all. Today there was a post. The Walmart crazies are back out. I don't know if you saw the pictures of what people were seeing in Walmart. And I said, oh my God, I should have just jumped in the car when I had on my Marie Antoinette makeup and hair and gone shopping at Walmart, because
nobody would have noticed.
I would have fit right in, y'all. But I've been known to do things like that just to make people wonder. But tonight I'm here with I've got my fox and my sock monkey and my leopard bear and my Beatrix Potter, and the author gave me her dog character, and this is of course my tiger Tony, and then I've got my cheetah over here and a couple cats, and then I've got the big Leo, the lion. But I got these big cats like when I first started the Pulpwood Queens, because animal print was our theme, and they go to every live girlfriend weekend and they're on the stage and they're just like iconic. And I have to tell you a story about the tiger. My grandson was here right before Easter, and he got an Easter basket, and I put in, not hard choking candy, but good stuff like little Reese peanut butter cups, and and his mother goes, oh, look, what's in the bottom of your basket? She didn't go candy. She goes, it's tiger treats. And he goes, huh? And she goes, it's what you feed her tiger. So the tiger's laying here and he rides the tiger. So he gets the basket and he's sitting on the floor. And why I didn't take a picture of this, but he's holding the Hershey Kisses out and pretending to feed him. And then I found them all over the floor in front of him the next day, but he didn't eat them. So the next morning he said, tiger treat? And I go, well, Tony doesn't eat this for breakfast. He has cereal. He goes, cereal? So I had all I had was Raisin Bran. So I put Raisin Bran and some almond milk in a little bowl. And he sat in front of him and he'd pretend to feed it to him and then he'd eat it. It was one of those moments that you just, but by the end of that 2 days he was here, he learned that the Tiger treats had chocolate inside of them because I look and there's like a ring all the way around. So, but I'm a real animal lover and I love this show so much. The Corky St. Clair was the character in Waiting for Guffman, played by Christopher Guest, who's the director. And
Right.
there's 4 or 5 of them. There's For Consideration and A Mighty Wind, and there's another one, I think, in the mockumentary series. But these 2 are the best.
But the first one, this is Spinal Tap.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's kind of different than this series, I think, don't you? I mean, I love This Is Spinal Tap. I mean,
It was their first one.
Yeah,
It was their first one. Yeah.
and he's known for that. But I think when I saw Waiting for Guffman, I was at that time, Robert knows I did a lot of community theater. And I saw that movie and I literally could not stop crying laughing because Blaine, Missouri could have been Jefferson, Texas. I mean, I knew the Chamber of Commerce. My husband used to be the president. I knew all these characters and the legacy woman. I knew all these characters, but Corky plays he's a theater aficionado and he did, he's from New York and you're presuming he did Broadway, but he did like off Broadway. And, but he comes to town and everybody just sees him as New York City. So this movie, he is so polar opposite of the character he played in. It was almost hard for me to even fathom that somebody could be so different. It's like Meryl Streep, she could do anything. I mean, she just, whatever character she takes on, but this is almost to the point of, it didn't even seem like the same man because he owns a bait shop, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and he plays Harlan Pepper, and he's the proud owner of a bloodhound named Hubert. And
Dog's got those eyes that are bloodshot,
and Harlan Pepper's secret lifelong dream is to be a ventriloquist.
You guys, my best friend was a professional ventriloquist. She taught at the ventriloquist convention that they would have every year. And she knew all the people that was on soap and all the famous ventriloquists. And she had a dummy that, what they call them, vets. But if you read my first book, her name was Joyce Jackson Fooch. And her little vent used to scare the hell out of me. And, but there's something about ventriloquists that are just funny. And she taught my daughter how to be a ventriloquist. And they used to do shows together when she was a little girl. And after she died, she got pancreatic cancer. I came home from work one day and there was a suitcase sitting in front of my door of my house when I went up on the porch, the little black, and it looked just like, what her little bit came out of. And I was scared because she'd be talking to me and everything. He'd turn his head and he'd go, "You want to be my girlfriend?" I was like, and I go, "Stop, Joyce, stop. Don't tell her that. You're my girlfriend." I used to just get creeped.
They're creepy.
Oh my gosh, you guys, do you want to see that suitcase?
Oh my God. Are you the custodian?
I'm good. Keep talking.
Oh my gosh. Oh Lord. So I think that my favorite Christopher Guest moment tonight was TK Thorne. I mean, could you imagine like doing an interview with her? Since I was a little girl, I've wanted a tail, not a horse tail, more like a cat tail.
Among friends here, right?
Of course.
I love you so
you
much
too.
for saying that because that is so crazy. But look, it says ventriloquist 2001, and then it's got a card and it's the House of 11 Gables, your courthouse. And she had a bed and breakfast, and Skeet was his name. And Skeet would go to breakfast and help serve. So I'm holding it up. This is the suitcase that was sitting on my porch.
That is an ominous looking suitcase.
Well, I'm going to wait at the very end for the big reveal.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. I have lots of props here tonight. So, but anyway, there is something hilarious about ventriloquism. And I've heard Candace Bergen talk many, many times about Charlie McCarthy, and her dad, and how she was so jealous of that ventriloquist dummy. It's only perfect that he would want to be a ventriloquist. I mean, just coming up with these scenarios. You know what I want to do when we get back together for Girlfriend Weekend 2000 win? I want to have one of the nights, all the authors are going to be given a script, and they're going to be given a synopsis of I've done this before, of a character. And we did a takeoff on the Oprah Winfrey show, and it was called the Okra Show. And I played Okra, and River Jordan played me. And I had Michael Morris, who is an author, played James Fried, not Fried. And we did this whole thing. And Phil Duran, who was this writer from LA, he was kind of the one that coordinated everything. He wrote All in the Family, Sanford and Son, the Wonder Years. And he goes, we're going to do what? I go, we're going to do it kind of like, everybody read their character, and you can keep your paper with you, but we're going to go and we're going to have a talk show, and you just have to be that character. You guys, it was one of the best things we've ever done. And we laughed till we cried. I mean, and River never went out of character. She made the front page dressed as me of the Dallas Morning News for this, because they were there. But I would love to do that. And of course, having some people that have the creds like Ruthie, and one year I told Robert, I wrote a one-act play for the Tennessee Williams competition. It didn't even get anything, but they said, well, that's a shame. And I said, well, maybe I could have the authors play the characters. And so all the authors played the characters it was so, and they did the same thing. They had the script, and they just did a reading script and acted out. And I'm telling you, some of the characters, the person who played my mom and my aunt, I mean, they just blew everybody away, because my mother was very country club, and my aunt was very much Dale Evans, so it was really fun. But I think improv is one of the most fascinating entertainments, and there's not enough of it. Saturday Night Live does it somewhat, but I think Christopher Guest, wonder why they stopped. Anybody ever ponder why he stopped doing those films? Because they're so funny.
Yeah, I don't
I mean, look what happened to Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara.
Right.
They're in Schitt's Creek. And if you have not seen Schitt's Creek on Netflix, is it Netflix?
Yes.
My daughter,
Yeah, I think so,
got me watching it. And all of a sudden I turned to her and I said, Eugene Levy's son is in it, and his daughter. And I said, Madeline, you act just like the son. She goes, everybody keeps telling me that, because she's snarky. She's really snarky. And his is my favorite character, because, and then the young woman who runs the hotel desk at the Motor Inn or whatever. I love her. What's her name? Do you know it, Robert?
Gosh, yeah, I forget her name, but yeah.
Watch them, because they've been nominated for, I think, every Grammy you can get for Schitt's Creek, and I just cry when those series are over.
Well,
So
Eugene and Catherine O'Hara have amazing chemistry, and in Best in Show they play Jerry and Cookie Fleck.
you just say their names and I lose it. But you've got to tell about Jerry.
Oh, so first, so Cookie, his wife, has a bit of a past. So everywhere they go, there's someone that she's dated.
Dated is a nice term.
I know. So the actor being interviewed, And he makes some comment about her having had, a dozen boyfriends. And she's like, I'm more like 100.
Really? Really?
Um,
100?
really?
She goes, at least,
And then he goes on to say he was quite the Casanova when he was coming along. Of course, he dresses a bit like in this particular movie, quite the nerd, and he's got these prosthetic teeth that protrude a bit. And of course, they're talking about the first time that they met and they were going to dance. And Cookie asked Jerry to dance. He goes, "Well, I can't dance. I have 2 left feet." He literally has 2 left feet. He was born with this birth defect, and so when he was a boy, they called him Loopy because he could only walk in circles.
He said, I've trained myself now to walk a straight line. But when I was a kid, I used to walk in circles. And then there's a scene in the movie where he has to take over. I'm telling you, there's so many physicality moments of just how they, pratfall and do things. But I don't know how they don't laugh when somebody says something to them, because the nuts, him describing all the nuts. And it doesn't sound funny if you haven't seen it, but I don't want to ruin anything for you guys that haven't seen it.
It's because they play it so straight. It's hysterical. These monologues.
Have you ever known anybody who is funny and never smiles?
Yes.
I have a really good friend that is terrible. Did I tell this on one of my shows? Did I tell you the story about John Barrett, who wrote Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil? He may kill me on this. He never laughs, he never smiles, he never cuts. He just is somber. And we went all out to dinner at a little eatery called Irene's in New Orleans. And there's a table of us. I've got my ex-husband with me, and we've got him and his partner and a couple other people. Michael Morris was with us, an author. And anyway, the girl comes to the table to take our orders, and it's like a house, but it's not. It's got little rooms, and it's just round tables in this little room. And anyway, she comes to take our order, and I'm really good at listening to people to understand where they're from, but this was an accent I could not place. I was just like, it's not Scottish, it's not, what is it, what is this language? And anyway, it was really bizarre. And John, she says, our specials of today, in this weird accent and everything. And I'm just trying to figure it out. And I look at John, and he goes, what were those salad dressings again? And she kept making her repeat. And I got tickled, and I kicked him under the table, and he kicked me back, and he just kept going. And he goes, and the desserts tonight? And she just kept, and finally I had to drop a fork and crawl under the table to hide because I was laughing so hard. So she leaves, and I go, what in the world? Stop it. He said, I think I've got it figured out. I go, where's she from? She's not from New Orleans. It's not Cajun. It's not any of that. He goes, she's from an Eastern Bloc country, but she has a lisp.
And he said that with a straight face, right?
Yeah, he says it. He doesn't even crack a smile. She's got a lisp. And so here she comes back, and she's going to whatever she's saying. He goes, and what was the dressing on that? And he just never, and by then his partner is in on it, and they're both doing it. I kept kicking him, and my husband's looking at me and go, what's wrong with you? I never had more fun at a dinner party in my entire life, but he never cracked a smile, ever. And I have a really strange sense of humor, and I think Robert has it too. Robert he carries himself so professionally well. but when you get to talking to him a little bit, I mean, our sense of humor is just, but when he says something really funny, he's just like, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like on the floor. I can't hide laughing. So when I watch these shows of Christopher Guest, I just want to share them with people because I want to look at somebody and go, oh my God, because you can't believe what these people do. And it gets a little sometimes racy, but never almost crosses the line, but it never really goes into, I mean,
Game of Thrones.
yeah, I put a cartoon up that popped up from last year and it was so funny. And there's a girl loving this guy and she goes, tell me again, how big is your library? And I was like on the floor all morning spinning my coffee because the more I thought about it, the more fun, because the first thing I do when I go to somebody's house is, now you're going to take this all wrong when I say this, but I check out their library. Because it tells you a lot about a person. But that play on things is funny to me. But I know that I have a warped sense of humor. And
So, Kathy, I think that if you were any character in Best in Show, you would be Stefan Vanderhoof, the gay character who couldn't determine how many kimonos he was going to take to the dog show.
I would have to have one for every day. Absolutely. And I have them and I design them myself. And yeah.
So his partner's telling him, yeah, 7 kimonos, we're going to be gone for 72 hours. It's like, you're right, I'll take 8.
And I just, there's something really great about a kimono. I have, I design them with my art and I bet I have 30 of them in samples in there of my kimonos. I might have to get the kimonos out and show you those.
I know, I was thinking that earlier. We should have worn kimonos tonight.
Oh, well, I can go get one and show one off. I've got every kind of kimono you can possibly imagine, including a Pulpwood Queen kimono. And
now all you need is a dog.
Huh?
Now all you need is a dog.
Yeah, I need a dog. Maybe I could paint a dog. And what I do is I take my paintings and I put them on fabric and they're made into kimonos. So
they're beautiful.
Thank you. And they weigh nothing. You can put a tank top in and 8 kimonos and you're ready for anything.
Ready for a dog show.
Ready for a dog show. So anyway, it's really funny. Can you remember some of the quotes? You're really good at this.
Gosh, well, so I can paraphrase. So I love that moment when you meet the Jennifer Coolidge's character, Sherry Ann Cabot, and her very old husband, Leslie Ward Cabot, and they're sitting there in their mansion, and she's going on about, people wonder, what we have in common, but I have to keep them off of me. We still have this physical attraction, and this man can barely sit up straight. He is so old.
It's like Anna Nicole, and
yes, very much like Ed Howard. And so she's going on about, we have so much in common. We both like soup. And snow peas. We can just sit in a room and say nothing for a long time. It's just this crazy, thing. It's obviously, it's a marriage.
Or not.
Exactly, or not say anything at all.
It's just the pairings. When you do community theater, I was telling this last week, I was in Meet Me in St. Louis, and the Judy Garland character in the film has an older sister who's on the prowl, and I was cast as that woman. But it's small town, it's hard to get guys to try out for plays. So the guy who tried out for the play was a senior in high school, and I was 41 or 42. And he was my love interest. And I go, oh, I don't know. I told Marcia, the director, I said, I don't know, Marcia, I think maybe I better ask his mom. So she worked at the bank. So when I went through the bank and I said, oh, I'm going to be with Kyle, I'm cast with Kyle in this play. And she was laughing so hard. She's counting out money. She just goes, I can't wait to see this. I cannot wait to see this. But we had a lot of fun with it because I had to flirt with him all the time. But he's 17 and I was like 41. My kids are going, my mom, you're crazy. It was funny. But what's the craziest thing, Ruthie, you've had happen in theater? A funny story.
Oh, okay. Well, that's easy. My dad and I were, oh, I have a lot, but my dad and I were in a production of Fiddler on the Roof. And he was Tevye, and I was the oldest daughter, Seidel. And at the very end, and it was a raked stage, okay? And at the very end, they're leaving, they're packing all their goods to go in, carts. And Seidel comes in carrying her baby, and she says, Papa, it's time to go. And someone had dislodged the arm of the doll that was in my arms, and it fell off the doll and started rolling down the stage in the most horrible moment that it possibly could have done, because they're going to start to cry and sing. And my father did not take a beat. He just said, Seidel, forget the doll, go get the baby.
Oh, wow.
And there were it was like a huge audience of like 2,000 people.
Jumped up in the air and applauded.
Well, what happened was, it was such a hard moment, because, we had to then turn it around to sing Anna Tefka, the sad song. But because he did that, the audience could relax. Because if we had ignored it, but the problem was that then I almost peed my pants for the rest of the show, because, thank goodness I had a scarf on and everything, because you remember that moment and you can't look at each other, even though you're trying to play the scene, you just can't look at each other, because, and I had to run down and get the down. And so, yes, there are moments like that. There was one moment real quick where I was playing kind of like a female Sherlock Holmes, Miss Tweed. It was called Something's Afoot. And, she's this detective and everything. And the butler, the stage is supposed to explode and kill the butler, and he is supposed to fall down, and then she has to figure out, well, what happened. Well, the explosion never went off, and you understand, I have all this stuff that I have to say why this man is laying dead at our feet on the ground. And so I just look around and I said gaseous fumes. Gaseous fumes, and and everybody, my one friend, he was downstage of me, and he just, thank God his back was to the audience, because it was a circular audience. And yeah, there's all those moments, and they always happen when something goes wrong. And when you were saying, Kathy, about how do they play it straight, well, in the theater, you have to just keep going. You have to improvise, you have to make up lines, you have to do whatever you can. But the good news is, in the Christopher Guest films, they just do another take. And most of the stuff that you're seeing, of course they've laughed so hard. Of course they've broken each other up. And I think that
I like to see more of the outtakes.
Yeah, there's so much of that has to go away. But one teacher one time told me, long time ago, that, and if you watch, the Christopher Guest films, there's a twinkle in their eye, because you want to sort of be on the edge of breaking up. There's this, you want to be almost near a giggle, but not go there. So it's straight, but there is a part of you that just could cross over the line and lose it. And that creates a kind of energy that makes people really laugh. It really does.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is.
I wonder how we would translate that into writing. I feel, I don't know. I just, when Rosie was saying that, Ruthie, sorry. When Ruthie was saying that, I just felt like there's got to be some way that can translate into writing to make that tension. I don't.
If you just write down what you told us earlier, we've got it on tape.
Oh, we talking about the tale again? I'm never going to live that down.
And put that in a book. I'm going to have some fun with that.
That's the favorite thing I've heard all week.
It's like at Girlfriend Weekend every year, Marcia Toy Engstrom, who's the book club cheerleader from California, would come. And she listened all through the weekend. And then when she'd get back home, she'd do her big book club cheerleader blog. And she put top 10 things that I heard at Girlfriend Weekend that I'll never forget. And it would be like, I wish I had a tail, and the minute she would put something down, I was instantly back listening to that person say it. And she copied, I guess she was a stenographer. I don't know how she got it down so perfect, but I would be laughing so hard because you can't, the funniest things are things that you really happen, not that you make up. I mean, Teresa, I mean, that's just, not like a horse tail, like a cat tail. So I could throw it over oh my God. That's just so.
No, well, and I can't remember, TK, if this was you or not. It was during Girlfriend's Weekend, and it was at nighttime. It had been a long day, and somebody got up, not aware that they had not turned the camera off, but they started to get. Was it TK? And TK was getting ready for bed. And so, but luckily, I mean, nothing lewd happened. She's brushing her teeth. And so Kathy said, finally Kathy's like thinking this is going far enough. I don't know what she does after she brushes her teeth.
You in the bathroom. Yes, I'll never forget that.
Most people black their screen, but no, she just gets out of her chair and there's a bathroom and the camera's just shooting right into it. And she goes in there and she gets the toothpaste out and she's brushing her teeth. I go, Teresa. And she goes,
yeah.
Oh, I forgot. But somebody else got up and made a sandwich.
Yeah.
And I was on a Zoom meeting at the Tennessee Williams Festival, and a girl was on the screen, and she gets up and her kitchen's open, and she goes into the kitchen, and finally the woman who was the head of HarperCollins goes, what's going on? She goes, oh, I'm fixing dinner because I've got to get ready for my family. And we watched her the whole time prepare the dinner. Well, it was, you can't make this stuff up.
Which is exactly what the allure is of those Christopher Guest films. It's just absolutely lunacy. It's hysterical.
Was it Steve Manchester who was making the sandwich? Who was it? No, it was Joe Palmer. Joe Palmer was making the sandwich and he forgot. He just didn't turn it off and he got hungry. So
but this happens on set. So the most humiliating thing that ever happened on set to me was, so we were filming a commercial and they put your mic, and it's all wired on, and the person is supposed to they're supposed to turn it off when you're going off stage, but the person forgot and I forgot and I went to the bathroom.
I've done that.
I don't know what had really happened. And I went to the bathroom. That's all I could say. And when I came back out, everyone applauded.
I had the same thing happen.
Oh my God, it's so humiliating.
It was so embarrassing, but I just forgot I had it on clipped on the back of my pants, and or something, or skirt or something. But anyway, yeah, that's really awkward.
It's really,
because you could be talking to somebody in the bathroom about something.
Well, that's the least of the problems. It's before the flush.
Yeah. Well. Oh my goodness.
Kathy, I wanted to say, you were talking about improv, and
Yes.
when I worked in New York, I just wanted to share this, and with regard to animals, I was promoting an issue of a new magazine, and the cover was apes in the office, and I had a friend who was an improv actor, Matthew, And I said, Matthew, I've got to promote this issue. I said, do you think we can get a gorilla suit for you and take these magazines to different offices on Madison Avenue? So yeah, of course. So he gets in the gorilla outfit, and we're walking down the street and it started to snow. And then he grabs my hand, and I'm walking down Madison Avenue with an ape holding my hand, going into advertising offices. And, I could dream up these things, but he was so wonderful because of that, he got down, he walked like a gorilla in the snow. Anyway, and forgive me for hopping up. I have a 6-toed cat that keeps wanting to come in and out.
I'd love to see your 6-toed cat.
Hang on.
Okay.
He's climbing, he's clawing at the back door.
Yeah, mine knocks just like a human, but they're in right now and they're hiding from me. Okay, should I go back and show you what's in the case?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, you have to, because otherwise it's Chekhov's gun.
Oh, there you go.
And you
Okay, so I bring it in the house and my kids aren't home they rode the bus home. So I'm going, I want to open it before they get there because, oh my God, I didn't want them to freak out because they were very close to Joyce, So I go to the case and I open it up. And this is after sitting for about 10 minutes looking at it, because it looks, like this. And then let me see if I'm going to have to balance this here. Here we go. I got to show you what was in this case. You're going to just freak out. And it was Joyce's. And let's see here. It hasn't been out of the case.
As far as you know.
Gosh.
This is one of her vents.
Oh.
And the crazy thing is it's got, this, hello.
Oh.
Yeah.
My tail.
But I was so relieved that it was a dog and it wasn't Skeet. Okay. So, the dog's in there. And then underneath the dog is a hairbrush. And then this. And my daughter, she got her event and it was a bird. So I was really excited when this came up because this was something, and Lainey still has it, she still has it, but it had a bird.
Oh, cute.
So, but these were, so the question was, when we went to her funeral, Lainey had her bird and we got to the funeral and they said, oh, you're Kathy and Lainey? I go, yeah, the family wants to meet you in the back. She had a big family. So we went into the back and she told her brother that, who was this older gentleman, she said, I have a note for Joyce that they've already closed the casket. She was about 11. And she said, I really would like to put it in there. And so they went and talked to him and they opened it. So, and there she was laying in her sequin gown. She always wore sequins when she did her act and everything. And Lainey put the note in there. And then later she said, Mom, Skeet wasn't in there. I go, what? You're right. Her will said that she was to be buried with Skeet. So I go, oh my God, where's Skeet? Did he run away? Where'd he go?
I don't blame him.
Yeah. So anyway, Skeet was like a Charlie McCarthy. It was hand carved. And they're worth a lot of money. So if you go online, you can see the Ventriloquist Museum, and they've got a room with all the donated vents in it. So periodically, every once in a while, I go on there and I just scan, looking to see if Skeet's in there. But Skeet nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows what happened to Skeet. Nobody. Her grown daughter and son, nobody knew. But that always bothered me. I kind of had some nightmares about it for a while, thinking Skeet might show up. Well, I mean, my girlfriend Joyce is gone. And I was like, "Ee," but I don't know. He wore a tuxedo and he was, he had those really rosy, prominent cheekbones and he had too many teeth or something. I don't know. But the Charlie McCarthy ventriloquist used to scare me too. But yeah, that's really great. So when you guys watch this movie, you've got to watch that part in particular. And the other part that I love is the part with Parker Posey plays a yuppie, and her and her husband are just yuppies, and their dog loses his squeaky toy, and she has a full-blown panic attack where she's got to replace it with one just exactly like it. It's funny. But this is going to be our last Christopher Guest film we're going to watch. The other ones are fun, but we're going to move on. And but if you get a chance, watch The Mighty Wind, which is basically about the folk music movement, right? Wasn't that
like Peter, Paul, Mary kind of thing?
Yeah, Peter, Paul, Mary, yeah, Blowing in the Wind. And then there was For Your Consideration, which is really another one that's kind of set with, gosh, that's the one I haven't seen the longest amount of time, because I go back and watch Waiting Guffman every couple of years because it's just priceless. It's so funny. And Best in Show too, because and and Jane, what's the woman that plays
Jane Lynch,
who was on Glee, is in it. And that was the first time I ever saw her. She's magnificent. She's wonderful to watch. So you guys watch the film and everything. But in the meantime, we will continue to watch films. Have we decided what we're going to watch next week?
we haven't. Now we still have to work through that. I'm open.
Yeah. I threw out several suggestions. One of the ones I mentioned to you, well, I'm trying to think, you mentioned one to me, but what was the one I mentioned to you? Do you remember last week?
I cannot remember.
It's another one of those quirky, and you said, oh yeah, I've seen it. I just like books. I look for films that tell stories that are one of a kind and you haven't heard. Like, I'm still looking for a way for you guys to watch. I own the movie, but if you haven't seen Cold Comfort Farm, it's a 1932 classic, and it was made into a film. It was set in, I think, written in 1931. You'd swear it was Southern Gothic, but it's set in England, and it's the coal cutter, the farm of the coal cutters. And but it's got a really famous, she's really famous actress now, but she wants to be like Jane Austen, but she feels like in order to write like Jane Austen, she has to have life experiences. So she writes letters. She loses her family in a train accident, her parents, and so she's left adrift with no money. So she writes to all of her family members, distance, and explained her life circumstances and wanted to know if she could come and live with them. And the coal cutters invite her to their farm, and she's very meticulous, and she goes to this farm. Oh my goodness, it's the funniest film ever. But I can't find it on any of the streaming services at all. So unless you buy the movie, you have to do it. So I always check first to make sure you can watch the movies that I'm finding. I was telling you, we watched not too long ago Man's Favorite Sport. Have you guys seen that one? It's a Rock Hudson, Paula Prentice film, and it's a 1960. Oh, there we go. Here, you get the ribbon. You showed up. You get the ribbon.
Have you guys seen Harold and Maude?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's wonderful.
That's a wonderful.
I've watched that movie 5-6 times. I love that movie.
We take suggestions, and so far everything that we've suggested each other we've seen, like Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and Gone with the Wind. And I did a whole series when I first started out of foreign films that nobody had ever seen. But I will tell you, Lovelace, I'm inspired. Tomorrow, Lovelace is interviewing me for her Bollywood in Books podcast. And I have just recently watched a whole bunch of new movies that are from India. And so I want to do a Bollywood India Film Fest this summer, so I can wear, instead of my kimonos every day, I can wear my saris every day. And I want to have you on as a special guest, Lovelace, and I'm going to have some of my Indian authors on as my special guests. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. If you want to really see some unusual acting skills, dancing skills, when I first saw them, I go, how can they do all this stuff? They sing, they dance, they lip sync. They're called, nobody really sings their own music in these musicals. And I go, what? And it's actually quite an art because they've got it down, man. And the dancing, how they do it is they shoot like 10 seconds. They teach them 10 seconds. They do the 10 seconds. Then they do another routine. They do the 10 seconds. And when they put it all together, man, they look like they can really dance. But Shah Rukh Khan goes, he can dance. But he said, I really, can't, I've never had any formal training. But what they do is they teach all the guys how to do certain steps and they film them real. And I go, that's how come he's never out of breath. I'd be so out of breath watching these shows. And then how those girls do it with all that jewelry and stuff, dancing around. And they never get sweaty. And it's so hot over there.
It's only 2 minutes.
It's like
only
so
2 minutes.
good. I don't know how they do it. It's just, the first time I watched Bride and Prejudice, which was a takeoff in Jade, I was just like, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Because just when you think the film's over, it goes into a whole nother story, a continuation. They have intermissions in the middle so people can just have time to go to the bathroom because they last 3 hours and sometimes longer. But I love them. I watch one just about every night, some film from some other country. And I've just watched a bunch of really good ones. So I want to have a film festival this summer. So we'll talk about that. But if any of you guys have any suggestions, before we leave, let's go around and what's your favorite go-to film? What's a favorite movie you've ever seen? Everybody get. My favorite go-to movie is Man's Favorite Sport because it's hilarious. And it's set during the 60s and there's a revolving bar in it, that's got a scene in it with Rock Hudson and this French girl. And it's priceless because he's talking to him and the bar's continuing to rotate and he turns to look at something. And when he comes back, he's talking to the wrong people. And there's a bar in New Orleans at the Hotel Monteleone just like that. Because you'll be talking to somebody who's standing up beside you and you'll get busy looking for something and you go back to talk to them and some guy's standing there. Go, where are they? And they're clear on the other side of the bar. It's just hysterical to me. But okay, who's ready? Teresa?
As Good as It Gets with Helen Hunt and Jack Nicholson. That is the best. That movie is so wonderful. I actually found the script to it and read the script because I had, how did they do this?
It is. And that was a weird pairing, didn't you think?
Yes, it was. That's part of what made it so funny.
Yeah, it was great. And here she's this poor waitress and, and everything. And he's just something else. But I had that wonderful scene. I think the most poignant scene in it is when the next door neighbor, the gay man gets beat up. Oh,
Greg Kinnear, right?
Oh,
Greg Kinnear.
I love Greg Kinnear. I think did you see Nurse Betty?
Yes.
Oh my God, I got a whole story about that in my book, going to see Nurse Betty. But I saw Waiting for Guffman in New York, just around the corner from Bergdorf's, not far from the plaza. And I'd never seen anything like it. I thought it was amazing. But if you haven't seen any Wes Anderson films, I love Moonlight Kingdom. I love Darjeeling Express. I love all of those films. And then Wes Anderson, I love Tim Burton films. That's my kids and I have seen every Tim Burton film. And we went and saw his exhibition at the MoMA in New York, which was incredible. And then I also have a thing for Alfred Hitchcock. I love The Birds. We've got to do The Birds this fall.
Yes.
We've got to do The Birds because I can really do a mean impression of Tippi Hedren. I've got a whole.
We're gonna say a bird.
I've got a whole box of crows. I went to Girlfriend Weekend one year as Tippi Hedren with a pea green suit and my hair in a chignon with birds pecking me. I sewed them all over the suit. I never had someone, and I even have a Tippi Hedren Alfred Hitchcock Barbie. It's one of my most prized possessions. Okay, Lovelace, what's your favorite movie?
Kathy, I have a couple of favorites, but one scene, I don't know if anyone has seen Down by Law, where
what is that?
it's more of an indie film, and I'm trying to remember the name of the filmmaker, but there's a scene in which the three guys are in a jail cell, and Roberto Benigni is in the jail cell, and all he does, he says, "I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream," and that's about all the English he knows in this particular film. It's Down by Law, and I've got to remember I can't remember the name of the filmmaker now, but I grew up loving movies like Bringing Up Baby and Philadelphia Story.
Oh my God.
And the dialogue in those films.
Katharine Hepburn. Oh my gosh.
I met her kind of in an elevator. Well, I'd gone to the endodontist because I was working in New York, and she gets on the elevator, and I can't even talk because my mouth has just been worked on. And I thought, let's just pretend like I'm not really here with Katharine Hepburn, who isn't. But anyway, those are down. Let me Google Down by Law because he is. Oh gosh.
Have you guys seen Baghdad Cafe?
Yes.
I love that. It has the best soundtrack ever. That's the one I told you about. But we've kind of been doing some quirky ones, so maybe we need to do the one you wanted to do, which is The Women. Have you guys seen
The Women? Oh my gosh.
Let's do that next week.
Yeah, Joan Crawford, Norma Shearer. Oh my gosh.
Rosalind Russell.
Paulette Goddard.
It's there's no men in the film at all. And it's in the
1930s, and it is just glamour, glamour, glamour.
Oh my gosh, it is. Let's do The Women, because I found it and I go, oh, I know this film. The film I need help with, you guys, is a film that I watched, and I think it's Irene Dunn, but it's set in the 30s, and it's one of my favorite films. It's this woman's at a big charity fundraising ball, and it's back where they wore those translucent, fluttery little dresses, and she's just got her hair all, finger waved and everything. And they go on a scavenger hunt, and she goes down to the river where all the homeless bums live, and she finds this guy, and they said, bring back a homeless person, and she does that strike a bell with you? It's the best movie ever, because
something about that says for me, but I can't remember.
It's a fabulous classic movie, but he's not what she's not what he thinks she is, and he's definitely not what she thinks he is. And it's a romance. And I love those old movies, the way they did the romance. What was the Katharine Hepburn one where everybody thinks that she's spent the night with somebody? And she hasn't, but they catch her with, and it's Jimmy Stewart, Katharine Hepburn, and then I think her fiance. And oh, the play between all these people. I need to go back and watch those 30s films again, because one of my favorite time era for movies. And but if you have a favorite film, shoot it to me. We'll watch it, we'll discuss it. We want you to have you back on board. And then the last thing I'm going to show you guys, besides all my little critters, is we are going to have an Oscar party. And I can get it on Hulu and the Oscars. And I believe the red carpet is going to be streaming online. So we're going to do some kind of program. It's April 25th on Sunday night. Robert and I are going to do some kind of Oscar party. And because I keep dragging him into these shenanigans that I do, today I found something in my house that we're going to have. The Filmfare Awards has the Black Lady. It's like the equivalent of the Oscar. And it's this beautiful, elegant, black, gorgeous statuette. With the Oscars, we've got the beautiful gold that weighs 8.5 pounds, and all this. Well, I have come up with the Robert. And the Robert is going to be our award for Robert and I are going to pick prior to the thing, and we're going to do the sheet, and then we're going to announce our Robert Awards. And this is my Robert.
Oh, wow.
Lovely.
Isn't it just fabulous?
I love it.
He's got a tuxedo on, perfectly coiffed, and we think this is like a top coat over his arm. But this is, I think, from the 1940s. But I had this sitting up on my, I have a curio cabinet, and it was kind of stuck behind a lamp, and I changed some things around today, and I go, oh my God, it's Robert Gwaltney. We're going to have our own. So Mandy is creating a banner for our that's going to be very elegant with gold sequin backing and our Robert. She goes, Kathy, that is just fab. You can't really see it, but it's really,
I love it.
it's fabulous. So
it has an Art Deco look to it.
It's very Art Deco. And we're going to have the Robert Awards, and I don't know when we'll do that. Maybe we'll do it, we'll figure it out. You and I are going to figure it out. But if you did not see this week up on my Kathy L. Murphy channel, I interviewed Bobby Cornblit, who was married to a studio head and lived in, out in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills for years and attended all the parties. And I did a pre-show with her this week, Thursday night. It's up on, and her stories are amazing. All of her stories of where she got to go and who she got to sit with at the Oscars and who she got to sit with at the Grammys and all these parties. And it's just, she went to Cannes with, I believe, Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise, because he had done the film Far, Far and Away, Far, Far Away. I go, oh my gosh, Bobby. And I said, where's all your gowns that you wore? And she goes, she donated them to the University of North Texas. They're on permanent collection with the university. Isn't that cool of her to do that?
Wonderful.
Pretty cool. So, my goal is eventually to walk the red carpet for a premiere of my story. If I don't get there, you guys all do it for me, okay? Because that's, we had a documentary made, and I walked the red carpet at the, it was the Phenom International Film Festival in Shreveport, Bossier. Over 100 films were shown, and even Stephen King had a film. And our little documentary for the Love of Books on Girlfriend Weekend won the Audience Choice Award. So the filmmaker from New York, William Torgerson, and his sister and I and all the Pulpwood Queens went, and they had a, where you could walk the red carpet. And I wore blue hair, an entirely blue outfit. It was kind of like a Marie Antoinette, only bright blue. And I think everybody thought I was a Smurf, but I wanted people to remember that I was there. So we had a good time. Now we are going to end our, anything you want to wrap up and say, Robert?
No, but it's been fun. It's been wonderful to have TK and Lovelace and Ruthie join us this evening.
You know, it is a lot of fun because this is my only entertainment. I never get out. Now I'll see Lovelace tomorrow when we do our Zoom. And TK, your book is on the top of my nightstand, along with I've got two I'm reading this week. I've got Johnny Bernhard's manuscript for her new book. And she was our Writers Club program today. If any of you do workshops for writers, we are trying to book our authors in to do that, to mentor to other authors. And Johnny's was fabulous today. And so I know, Ruthie, we've got you kind of talked to you a little bit about maybe doing something. But if any of you are interested in doing any of that, we're looking for authors to mentor to authors about anything to do with writing, whether it's getting an agent or writing a query or, you know, whatever. We would love that. Any kind of workshop. So tonight I'm going to go pop some popcorn, put on my pajamas, and I'm watching Best in Show. And then y'all, when I get this downloaded on the YouTube channel, because it'll download right after this, when you watch it, please go on the YouTube channel, subscribe, and comment what you thought of the movie or your favorite part or whatever, because we really want more feedback. And Robert, you want to do the women?
Absolutely.
Okay, I got to get out my 40s outfit. Okay, I don't have a 30, so we'll just have to. But I do have some pretty cool
Wear a kimono.
Yeah, well,
They're perfect for everything.
These girls, they really dress to the nines, man, in this show. I'll get my gloves out for sure and my pocket purse. So we will do that next week. I will make an announcement and maybe you can do a little tease like you do. And you guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you ever have any questions about anything or want to jump in at any time, you know, my email is the Pulpwood Queen. If you don't have my phone number, I'll send it to you. And Ruthie, keep those. I love you need to do a book of those. You need to do a book of those little land moments. Those are fabulous.
We're already, I have 20 more to write, and we're gonna publish it. It's gonna be called My
Oh, good.
It's already done, My Musings. And then what I'm gonna do is have them there and then a journal prompt and a little activity underneath it so people can dive into that inside themselves. So it's about not
great. Well, we'll have to put that on the bonus book club list because I'm telling you, every one she posts, I go, I have to share it because, but you've been putting them on my international page, which is great because I want everybody to see them. But that will be the best gift book ever.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Well, it was your idea. Thank you so much.
Well, great. I've always got lots of ideas. So, but let's see how we can work the tail story into something.
And
I'm not saying a word.
Listen, we were roommates. I met her for the first time ever. And where were we?
Fairhope.
We were in Fairhope, and who got us the house? Somebody got us the house.
Maggie got you.
Yeah, Maggie got us the house.
Maggie got us this house, and it was me and
Kim.
one of my Pulpwood queens,
Kim.
and then they said this other author's going to join you, and I go, oh, never even met her. We had the best time. We just did.
That was great fun.
And then we did all these events together. So I want to come back to Fairhope so bad. I want to get out of this house. So, and you can't even see this, but on my wall, Ruthie, one of my favorite places used to go, if you can look way up, can you see way up there? My Chicago poster.
The green one?
No, it's way up there.
Oh, yeah, okay, yes.
I got that when the first time I spoke at Book Expo, and I got it at the coolest store. It was so much fun. I used to love to go to Chicago because the Art Institute. I mean, there's so many great restaurants. Um, it's fabulous, and that's when Oprah used to have a restaurant. Remember that? The
Yeah.
Eccentric? I still have a ball cap from there, but I went to the restroom, and my friends are so bad, and they know how gullible I am. They'd gone to the restroom first, and when they came back to the table, and they said, "Oh my God, Oprah's in the bathroom." You kidding me? They go, she is. I ran in there. She wasn't in there. They were laughing so hard at me. Oprah never went to a restaurant, but it was pretty exciting. I did run into her later at Book Expo, but that's another story that'll have to go in my book. But anyway, these are all exciting. Any other exciting news to share? We've got Bollywood in books. We've got a new musings book. We've got TK's got a new Holocaust story book that I've got sitting over here to read, and the
Civil rights,
what I say,
Holocaust.
I'm getting it mixed up with another Holocaust book. I've got a civil rights book, and she lives in Birmingham, and then you've got the cicada tree, and then I've got the Pulpwood Queen Goes Back to School. I'm trying to get it done before January. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I got a lot going on. I still haven't got my roofs on, you guys, so I'm waiting every day. So there's just a line that's going around the town with all the ice damage. So you guys have a great night. Watch the movie, and seriously, I'm going to make popcorn. It's time to go to the show. So thank you for joining me. Share the news, get more people to come on board. The more that come on board, the more fun we have. So, and you can always come in your pajamas,
TK, you can brush your teeth.
Oh my God, that was so funny. Yeah, you could. That's another thing about Indian movies I've noticed. They really are into teeth brushing. Every movie, they're brushing their teeth all the time. Have you noticed
Kathy, when I was on an Indian trains, and now we're talking about really cheap travel.
Yeah, I know.
And there's a sink out in the middle of the car where the doors are. And in the morning, with my bottle of water and toothbrush, I've got people watching me and taking pictures, with a video. Why are these people taking pictures of me brushing my teeth? So I totally get it. I don't know.
And then they also go to the woods with a little pot of water. They don't use toilet paper. They take a little like brass pot of water, and I go, what do they do? Just go like
Yeah, seems like there would be a lot of technique to that.
I believe there is.
Those saris and the way the men fold those pans up, I go, how could you just throw water and it'd be all over me?
Spray bottle.
Just wait, Kathy, until you are in India and go to a squat toilet.
Honey, I've been to them. In Greece, there was.
Oh, okay.
I've seen them in Greece and France. I've been to some bathrooms you wouldn't believe. But you got to remember, I was here in this house in February for 3.5 weeks without water. I India bathed every night in front of my sink. I'd strip on a towel and I'd heat snow up and do, and bathe. And then, I had to go heat more or go get more snow and melt it to pour it into the toilets to flush them. And the guy goes, well, how bad was it? And I said, sir, have you ever melted snow to flush your toilets? I go, for 3.5 weeks. I mean,
no, not for 3.5 weeks.
You can fill a turkey baster pot to the brim, pack it with snow, and it melts down to that much. So you go out and trek out and you bring in buckets and buckets of snow. And then finally you get, enough and you pour it in there. It's gone like 5 seconds. And I thought, I spent 2 hours melting snow to get that all to go. So I've gotten smart. I've got 12 bottles of Buck water now. You can get it at the dollar store. and I've got it all on. So if I ever get in a place like that, and I've got rain barrels to collect water, I've gone real pioneer woman, y'all. So, well, everybody in the world's going to know this now. So they're just imagining me with a spray bottle and Teresa with a tail. Anybody have anything else to share tonight? Okay, let's go watch Nuts. All right, everybody have a wonderful night. I love you all.
Love you. Good
Let's have
night.
fun. Keep reading, keep writing, and we'll be in touch.
Good night.
Peace. Bye-bye.